Okay, let's now take a look at how we can take orders and also how to set up the checkout form and everything in between. So for basically storing orders, we're gonna keep it again very, very simple for this demonstration. And we are going to only add two tables to store orders. Basically, we will have an orders table, which will have the customer information and anything else that you might want to add to the order. And there will be an order items table, which will hold the basically all the information in the cart. So basically any products, product IDs, and also the quantities. And so, yeah, let's do it. We will first create a model for order and also a migration file for it. And then we will make a model for order item, and we will set up a migration file for it as well. Okay, so let's go to create orders table, and let's add the columns that we would need for a particular order. So, I'm gonna keep it pretty standard and simple. So we need the first name, last name, email, street address, city, state, zip, and we will also store the status of the order. So you can like do whatever you want here, but for now we will just keep it for pending. By default, it will be pending until an admin changes the status. Okay, that's all we need for the orders table, I think. And let's open up the order items table now. Okay, so for this, we would need to store the order ID, product ID, and the quantity. And also let's add the foreign constraints here. This is for order IDs. Basically, it's saying order ID references the ID on the orders table. And we need to do the same for product ID. And on delete cascade would just mean that if you delete an order, it will delete the specific order items that are for that order, and that makes sense. Okay, now let's go ahead and run the migrations we just created. Okay, so now we have an orders table, an order items table, and when the users check out, we need to show a form where they can fill in these fields specifically, and then press checkout or submit or whatever, and it should store the order, and it should also store whatever's in the cart of the user, and then clear the cart and then redirect back based on whether or not we will accept the payment. Okay, let's go ahead and open our routes file again and set up the checkout page. I think it should be checkout.create or maybe order. You can also say orders controller and create. Let's set up this controller and import it at the top. Then create the create method. This will return a view and let's call it checkout. So the checkout page will also need everything that the cart page needs because we need to display the same table. So let's go to the cart controller, and you can probably extract this logic out into some maybe a cart class. But for now, let's just keep it very simple. I'm just gonna copy and paste this, and then import the mile. So let's pass the cart items and the total. Okay. So let's add this view now. So for the view, we will use the X layout again. So I'm gonna do the same thing and paste some static HTML. And let's first take a look at what it looks like. Check out. This is what it looks like. Again, it's a table on the right and a form on the left. And basically contains all the fields we would need. So let's see. Okay, so when the form is submitted, yeah, so each of them has a name of the whatever column they represent in the orders table. So it's first name, last name, email, street address, city, state, and zip. Okay, so let's now make sure that it's hooked up to a URL, and we will call it checkout, or let's say orders.store. Go ahead and let's call it orders.create and orders.store. Okay. And this will be a post request to the checkout page. The function store, and this will have a request. And then here we can just process our information. But before we do that, let's also wire up this table. And it's pretty simple. We will need to do exactly the same thing we did before. Loop over the card items and then display them, and also display the total. So this is our UL, this is our li, and we can just add a for each here, card items as item, add and for each, and for each of them let's first an image, item image, item name, item name, item price, the quantity, we had item quantity, and this is the remove button that we're not setting up. For the total, let's output. Let's see. Okay, so now it's wired up. Let's add a few other items. The card. Let's see. So we've got 3 items in the cart, each with 1 quantity. Go to the cart page and check out. This checkout page is not set up. Let's go ahead and go to the cart.play.php file. It says checkout. I think it's this. Yeah. So let's add the root for, what is it called? Orders.root. Okay. So let's click this. Now it takes us to the checkout page, and we have everything that we would need. Okay. So let's wire up the form now. Oh no, there's a padding issue here, but I'm just gonna ignore it for now. Let's see. Okay, so when we submit this order, what should happen? So we've left this payment information section for now, empty, but we will add like credit card payments later on. But we can see that we have the form and we can submit the form, and when we submit it, it goes to the checkout page, but it says 419 page. Okay, so when this form is submitted, it goes to the orders.store route, which is the right route. So that is where we will store the order, so the admin can view it and approve it, make it, ship the order or whatever. So all the fields have a corresponding name. So if you go here, you can see this is the first name, last name. And so all the information is going to the controller, but we also need the CSRF field here. And the method post is right. So let's go to, first of all, we need some validation rules. So I will just add the required validation rule for now, but you can add others as well. So I will just paste in all the fields. This is first name, last name, email, street address, state, zip, and city. All of them are required, and email needs to be email. Okay, then we need to create the order. So now here we need to create the order, and then loop over the cart items, and then we need to loop over the card items and add each one to the database. And then we need to clear the card. And then redirect back. So let's do each one. So order create, and this will just have all the fields. And by default, it will have the pending status, which is what we want for now. Okay, so next we need to loop over the cart items. And to do that, we would need the cart. Next, let's loop over each cart item. Cart MS product ID, and then quantity. because this is how we're storing the products in the cart. And order, which we created up here. And then we can call an items method, which doesn't exist yet, but we'll add it after this. And then we can just specify what we need to store. We need to store the product ID. And we need to store the order ID. Oh, and we need to store the quantity. Okay, and order ID will automatically be assigned because we're calling order items method. But this doesn't exist yet, so let's go to the order class and add a relationship method called public function items, and this will return as many order item as. So each order has many order items. So this is probably not a good idea because this will create an SQL query per product in the cart. So it's probably not the best practice, but you can optimize this later on. Well, we can optimize this later on. So after this, let's clear the cart. Add. Then let's return redirect. Okay. Let's see if it works now. I'm just gonna use this extension to fill this out and submit order. And it just cleared the session, also redirected back, which means that the order should have been submitted. So you can probably work on this UI and conditionally show the no items here. I'm just gonna leave it for now. Let's see. Just to make sure, I'm gonna pull up Total Plus. Let's use the right database and let's see. Go into orders, you can see the order was saved and the order items have been added and also the product IDs, which is nice. Okay. So now that we have a way to basically submit orders from the front end, we would need also the ability to basically view those orders here. So first of all, let's set up another element resource, just so we have another item here for orders. Make filament resource, and the model name is order. So, and then we can go to order resource and update the form and table just like we did for problems. Okay, let's go to the orders. And we probably, yeah, it's fine. We can add a new order from here as well. But you can define the form if you want. But first of all, we need the columns so we can view any orders that are that have been submitted from the front end. So let's go ahead and define the table. Text column, make ID, and you need the label for ID, just like before. Import Let's do the same thing for first name, last name, email, and for the status column, I'd add a text column, make status, and we will make it a badge. And it will format state using, and this method basically allows you to update the state of the variable. So basically, if the state is pending, we can wrap this in this closure and then update it in some ways for the representation. So we can say stupid, and this will basically capitalize the first word. And then, yeah, I use that for now. And there we go. We got the order. You can edit it. There's no form right now, but yeah, it's working. So, what I would also like to see is a total stable here. And so for that, and now let's see if we can do it here. Label will be total, and prefix will be a $. So we can use the state method, and that will basically give you the ability to call any method on the record or just basically access the eloquent model in question. So we can just call total, and then we can create this total record on the order model. So let's see. For the totals, let's load the items product. So you'd like to basically load all the order items, but for this to work, we also need to go to the item order item class and add a relationship or product. So each item belongs to a particular product. And then let's return this items sum. And we can graph each item and get the price of the product and then multiply that by the quantity. That'll give us the grand total of the order. Okay, let's see. Let's go back to the order resource page. And so we're basically creating a column for total, prefixing it by $, and just calling the total method on the order table. And now you can see we can see the order is the total of the order as well. So let's work on the form now. And so for the form, basically, if you want to edit an order, you can add all the fields if you want. But I'm just gonna give the admins the ability to update the status. So for that, we will use a select. And here we can give any options. So pending will display with this string. And we can also do paid. Okay. Let's import the select and refresh. Now you can see we can update the status, go back to the order, and now it's paid. So now, although we can see the order and we can update the status, there's no way to like get the order items. Ideally, what I would like to have is when I open the order, it should display another table here. And for that, we can use the Filaments relation managers. So let's create a relation manager. Relation manager. And so it will ask, what is the resource I would like to create this in? Order resource. And what is the relationship? So if you go to the order PHP, you can see the relationship is items. And the title attribute, if you, this is the, whatever the title attribute you want. So for the title attribute, we can just specify maybe order ID. Might have to change that later. Let's see. Nothing is going on because if we open up our sidebar, it will create a filament order in the order resource folder, relation managers folder, and then this items relation manager. And we need to add this file or this class to the resource in the order resource.php. So we go down here, there's a method called get relations, and here we can specify items relation manager. Okay, so let's see, if you refresh the page now, you can see it's displaying the orders. Okay, that's nice. Let's go here. Instead of order ID, let's say product ID or product.name. This is a form. So let's go to the text column. Here we can say product.name. And yeah, so now it's displaying product, and we can also say product the quantity. And yeah, so now it's displaying the quantity and the product. So we don't want to edit and delete buttons here, and we also definitely don't want new order item. Maybe you do, but I'm just gonna disable these. Bulk delete. We also don't need bulk delete. Save, fresh. Okay, that's simple. We also don't need pagination for this because it's all right without pagination. So we can say paginated, and that will get rid of that. Okay. Okay, so now not only can we view all the orders that have been submitted and update their status, we can also check what they ordered specifically. So far, what we've done is give the user the ability to add products to the cart and check out with some information, but there's no way for the owner of the shop to basically get paid. This checkout flow could be used for cash on delivery payment method, but it won't work for card payments because there's no way to input card information and to basically process this card or this total. So in order to do that, let's use Laravel Cashier, which gives you the ability to basically very easily set up simple charges and checkouts, and they have lots and lots of features. You can also set up subscriptions and stuff, but we are basically going to be using the simple charge method. Simple charge. So this is going to be this method. You can basically call request user, whatever user you want to charge, and you can specify a total amount and the payment method ID, which I will show you how to set up. We don't even need to use the user. So basically we can just new up a user class, and it will anonymously charge whatever credit card information one was put in. Okay, so let's go to the installation section. And we need to pull this package. Then we need to vendor publish the migrations and then migrate. Okay. So also we need to add this billable trade to the user model. So let's go to the user pay and tag on another trade, billable. And make sure to import. Okay, now we can basically charge using Stripe. So if you don't have a Stripe account, you are going to want to have a Stripe account. And once you do, you can go to dashboard.stripe.com. And I'm in the test mode now, but once you're done with the testing, you can set up a live environment. But we're just going to use the test mode. Go to the developer section and API keys, and then you can just create a new key or just grab if you have already. So we're going to open up our .env file and then define. So if you go to the Laravel cashier documentation, they will tell you to provide these keys. We're not going to mess with the webhook secret now. And let's define these really quickly. Yeah, so now we can use Laravel cashier and the payments will come up here. All right. So let's first see how we can set up the card information here. So in order to do that, let's open up this view, checkout, and let's go to the bottom, and I'm just going to define a script section here. If you go to the Laravel cashier documentation and check out payment methods, yeah, so basically, if you define an element and then pull in the Stripe library, JavaScript library, you can essentially mount the card elements on any element, and that will give you the credit card information fields. So card number, CVV, and the expiry date. So which is really cool. So you don't have to actually manually set up any of those fields, and it will be set up by Stripe and will be super secure. So let's first of all pull in the Stripe library, and then okay, so next step is to let's define Stripe, and this will accept the public key, so we can just grab that on the environment directly for now. Like key, and then make sure to use double quotes here so it doesn't get confused with these quotes. Okay, so we got the Stripe. Now the Stripe API, which we can call and do stuff. So let's define an elements, which will be Stripe.elements, and find the, we also need the card element and the submit button. Card element will be elements.create card, and the submit button will be document.get element ID and submit button. This is already set up, so if we search, you see the submit button has the ID submit button. Then after that, let's card elements dot mount the card element, and this is also an element which exists. So if we search, you can see this here, payment details would be inserted here, and we've already given it an ID card element. And so essentially, Stripe library will inject the card fields or card elements in this div. So if we refresh the page, it's not working. Let me see. Card element. Let's refresh. And now you can see, the user has the ability to enter card number, expiry, and CVV, which is really nice. Next, we need to process, we need to get the payment method ID, which we need to send to the backend. So we need the payment method ID, which we need to send to the backend. And this is the documentation on how to do it. So we need the payment method ID after the form is submitted, which we will send to the controller method in the checkout controller or the orders controller. And then that payment ID will be used to process the single charge. So if you go to the single charge method here, you can see that this accepts the payment method ID and the amount in cents we're trying to process. So in order to obtain this payment method ID, we need to work with the Stripe API. So let's do that. So first of all, let's on the submit button, add an event listener. And when the event is submitted, when the submit button is clicked, we would, first of all, we do not want to submit the form. So this will prevent the default browser behavior of submitting the form when the submit button is clicked, because we want to handle it ourselves. Then we will grab the full name, which will be the first name field. Okay, so we will grab the full name, which is just a combination of the first name and the last name field value at the time the button is clicked. And then we will need to run the create payment So this is how you basically we need to call Stripe create payment method. And this particular method will accept all cards and the card element. So basically, whatever card element is, and what kind of payment method is this. And so for the billing details, we at least need a name. So for the name, we can just provide the name we just generated here. And then, so if there's an error, it will be like this. So instead, what I like to do is say, if not error, and return, and otherwise. this will be error. This will be the success. So this, if we've reached here, this means that we have a payment method which we can send to the backend. So for this, we will just we need to create a hidden input field in the form. So if you go to the form, we go to the form, let's add a hidden input field right around here after the CSR field. Let's go input type hidden, and the name of the field will be payment method ID. No, this will be payment method ID because we're gonna send this in the form so that it's available as in the request on the back end. So for the value, we will initialize it as empty, but once it's submitted and we have the payment method .id from here, let me just first of all console.log payment method.id. So let's refresh the page, and here's what we will do. We will edit the console first of all and fill in the form, and then do 424242 all the way. This is a test card number that will just work for the test environment. And then you can just do 100 for CVB and any postcode. We submit. You can see that we're console logging the payment method ID. This is the ID that the single charge needs. Single charges. And here. Okay. So now what we need to do is fill the hidden input field we just added and then submit the form. Fill the hidden input field. For that, let's grab it. Payment method ID. I don't think we gave it an ID. We didn't give it. Payment method ID, and then set its value equals to payment method.id. And then submit the forms. I think the form has an ID. Let's check. Yeah, so it says check.form, and we will grab that form and just hit submit. That will submit it just like a normal form. So let's go to the orders controller, store method, and let's make the payment until ID required, and then just dial down, press payment method ID. Let's see. I'm gonna refresh the page, clear console, let me date out 424242 all the way. Submit. And there we go. So now we can use Laravel Cashier on a guest user. So in our use, this. So first of all, we need the total for the order that we just added. So for that, okay, so basically after creating the order, it will be in the pending status and it will store it and it will clear the check and the card. But here we will try to make a charge on a new user instance. So this will be an empty user. So it's like charging a guest user, and we can run the charge method, and this here will accept the total. But the total is we have total in dollars, but this method needs total in cents. So what we can do is first of all grab the total in dollars, and then we can multiply that by 100, and that will give us in cents. And then we can just grab the request payment method ID, and we also need to specify this. Let's add something. Okay, if we submit the order now, return URL must be specified. Oh, the obsession variable needs to be true. That's why we have the obsession here. Okay, let's try. This should work. And if we click submit order now, let's go back to our orders, refresh, and you can see the last one is paid. Let's clear all the orders. So I want to make sure that if the card is empty, we do not display this page at all and redirect to maybe the products page. So let's go to the web and see. Okay, so this is this orders controller, and we are here. So let's say if card items is empty, we will redirect the user to products next page. Okay, let's refresh, and there we go. So you can edit and then check out. So now we can add products, and then if we clear the cart though, and then try to visit the checkout page, it will redirect us back. So that's just a little protection there. So if we can try it again. So right now we don't have any orders. Let's try the checkout. And submit order. And that will address this back to the home page. But if we go here, we will have the order and the status is paid. And if we go to the payment section, you can see, let me see. So the order was $29.99, and let me refresh the page, and you can see $29.99 was just paid with this payment payment method with this card number. And you can open this up, and you can also in this charge method, you can in the third argument you can pass customer information and other information which will be visible here if you want, but for this simple example this works.